Welcome back one more time. I'm Karen Taylor presenting to you What's Missing from the Science of Reading. We're going to finish up with our final topic of this particular presentation, knowing that we're heading to a live workshop, going to be very hands-on. It's going to be a lot of fun. And these videos have served as the pre-workshop content so that we don't have to talk a lot about all of this. We can rather just dive right in and start using Color Vowel in these ways that bridge the gap truly between written and spoken English in very exciting ways. And so our final topic as we wrap up this bit of the presentation is on the topic that I know you've been waiting for, and that is vowels, long and short vowels, the long and the short of it. You'll often hear me say so-called, or I'll even, use quotes, so-called long and short vowels. And that's because we have to ask ourselves, what's long about long vowels? And especially, what's short about short vowels? Anyway, is the terminology just there for us because we're used to it, or is it functional? And I think it's pretty reasonable that any learner would assume that it's a functional vocabulary, that it means something, when in fact it really doesn't. And this is reflected in the materials out there. I'm going to show you some. These are three of, I would say probably millions of long, short vowel posters. They're all slightly different. They use various kinds of keyword images depending on who wants to draw what, how creative they feel. And all three of these, you can explore the merits and the deficiencies of each. And yet all three of them are committing something of a crime, in my opinion, a lie, that there are apparently 10 vowel sounds in the spoken language of English, when that is simply not true. Depending on dialect, we observe between 14 and 16 vowel sounds in use, and that's not including our controlled vowels. So we've got this sort of partial story communicated over and over in these kinds of long, short posters. And then when you start looking at them closely, which I will not right now because that will last another 20 minutes and will involve a bit of ranting on my part, these are flawed. Every one that I look at is flawed in some way that is just lying in wait for a learner to encounter and take to heart and wonder what's wrong with them, that they can't make sense of the disparity, the incongruity, the cognitive dissonance. And so I'll leave it at this, but it's everything from the fact that a word like umbrella, the main part that you hear of that word is not this so-called short U that you see illustrated as the exemplar. And that's just one taste of what goes on in these kinds of materials. And I'll say it's not because I'm not criticizing individuals. People make these, but I am criticizing that we are not fully aware of how unaware we are, that educators or semi-educators on the periphery who make materials and sell them feel fully comfortable creating colorful posters where the selling point is how pretty they are and how cheap they are. And it leads to the kind of classroom that we looked at a little earlier. In fact, I think I need to pull it up to remind us of just what happens when we put the pressure on teachers to teach and teach and teach with all of these different directives. And suddenly the classroom is plastered in every kind of poster and every material you can think of. We need a simpler load for everybody's sake. The teacher needs time and visual space to teach in. Look how little space this poor woman has to write on the board. It's disconcerting to say the least, and it can be a lot better than this. So let me come back to my alarming posters that you can find everywhere. The one on the right over here, the vowels, this is on sale at Walmart, and I bet, I don't know, millions of them out there. What do they really do for learners would be my real question. And if you can answer that, tell me what looking at a poster like this really does. Is it something that a learner can go to and practice something? Are they able to walk back to their desk and achieve something because this poster's close by? Let me know, but I'll assert right now, I don't see it. I haven't seen it ever. So what else is out there? Now, the training that you see out there, and maybe this is the training you've gone through, if you've been through some kind of a phonics program, also participate in the perpetuation of this. I'll call it a lie for now. I've had teachers say to me, I feel like I've been lying to my students all my career when they train with us and reveal and realize really how spoken English and vowels work. And so in the training that Laura attended, that 100 plus hour letters training, guess what they have to say about long and short vowels? These again are screen captures, two figures in the video saying exactly this. The way we traditionally refer to vowels is arbitrary. And then she turns to the camera and says, it's confusing. Now, that should be alarming to you because it is to me. Shouldn't they be the experts and have a better way? And yet, the issue is that we don't have any experts that have a better way. I think there's an incredible groupthink about vowels as letters in their primary form, that they are letters first, A, E, I, O, U, and that the sounds they make are somehow secondary. We're going to be switching that with Color Vowel. We already have and been doing that for a long time. And it's empowering. So here's what this looks like. Again, the Color Vowel chart. We looked at it briefly a couple of videos ago. And just to drive home, we're going to relinquish the question of short and long vowels. That terminology is left over from Middle English and before, when we used to have a language that was sensitive to how much time we spent on vowel sound. So that a word, let's just take the word cat, theoretically, we would have something in Middle English like cat, and then cat could either be a different word or it could be the plural of cat, but it would definitely have a different meaning based on the time you spent on the vowel. Today, we don't have that in modern English, and yet the terms short and long have persisted. We continue to use those terms, and guess what vulnerable learners do? They look for the long and the short, they listen for the long and the short, and especially if their first language is one that has sensitivity to time on vowel, like older versions of English used to, they will start paying attention to that and think that they are understanding how all of this works. And guess where that goes? Nowhere good. It doesn't lead to any kind of a win. Okay. So with the Color Vowel chart, we move away from this false dichotomy of 10 sounds that are short and long, and we represent all of the vowel sounds of English in one place, organized as a map of the inside of the mouth space. And this works. Learners get this. We can trace right on the chart the movement that we can make to find a place in our mouths that creates a single vowel, a non-moving vowel, and we can also move to create the movement of a moving one. So, for example, here is green T E E. Now I come down, yeah, I can find that black sound that if I'm a second language learner of English, I might not have in my inventory. I can find it by moving my jaw down, yeah, and I can land there with an understanding that I might be able to produce it even though I can't perceive it. So this one-stop shopping place where we can find new sounds, locate them, name them. Learner can say, wow, that black sound is difficult for me to hear. Or, wow, I'm making the black sound and I now know how to make it. Okay. All kinds of things can happen once you provide learners with a common point of reference where everything is nameable. And if you can't perceive it, you can still name it, and you can work toward perceiving it by creating it. So we've really changed. It's been a game changer to know that we can teach learners how to produce a vowel sound and in time perceive it through the sensation of knowing the position. Because the pathways to the brain that perceive second language sounds can be actually closed down when you're beyond a certain age. So if you're talking about high school learners or adult learners, they won't be able to hear ah by itself, but they can move into it, yeah, or ah to get into that nice olive sound when the learner might just have ah. Okay. What I refer to over here is, again, the chart is organized in this fashion where the nose is in the front and the back of the throat is in the back here, so that the jaw, the tongue, and the lips are the main movers that help us move around the chart in this continuous kind of way, as well as the individual kind of digital vowel by vowel approach that you see in so many vowel valleys and other strategies that have been used in phonics programs they're on their way, but they've been missing that continuity, the continuum of sound that we move in and out of. And that is fitting with exactly how our mouths are actually made. None of us move from e, ah, ooh. We move through the space of our mouth in a continuous way as the chart is made. Okay. And so this allows us to move away from the false dichotomies of long and short to a simple and true dichotomy of moving and non-moving vowel sounds. Now, if the terms are new to you, just know that we use these because they are observable. You can really feel this, see this in a mirror. You can even take something like a pen and watch. If we say a, we can hear that gray day sound and we can feel and see the jaw moving upward. And so in our list of moving vowels, you see green T, E. It's a subtle but important movement. A, gray day, moving jaw. I, again, moving jaw and tongue. Ooh, a lot of lip movement there. O, right there in the lips. Or, there's a nice R-controlled vowel. It opens the door to other R controls, and we can talk about that another time, but very powerful, the way we're able to teach R controlled vowels. Oi, that turquoise sound, oi, a lot of movement in the lips, the jaw, and the tongue. And ow, all of these move in a way that is observable, something you can sense, and we can move from that label to the spelling patterns that are involved in those sounds, and also work honestly with words, regardless of spelling pattern, and figure out the frequencies. And this is all with a student involved, young and old. Everybody can do some version of this spelling exploration that is part of the color vowel approach. I'll leave it at that for now. Let's move over to non-moving vowels for just a moment. These are steady state, one position sounds that we need to locate and be in order to make that sound. And so we use a combination of the chart itself, as well as those sort of digitized, singularized images that go with each color vowel, right? A sound like silver pin is a single steady state position. Therefore, it's non-moving. We lose all of the confusion of calling it short when there's nothing short about pin. It doesn't sound very short to me. Red pepper, not short, right? But it is non-moving. Black cat, non-moving, one position. Purple shirt, so often not even recognized as the vowel that it is in phonics programs. It's relegated over to R control when it's actually its own vowel sound. It is not R controlled. But again, that's for another time, just sort of putting in some ideas in there that might intrigue you. Okay. A cup of mustard, one position. Aw, all of these involve one position that we can find and move into on the chart. So if somebody's having difficulty with mustard, we can come down, and notice what happens when we cross the line here. This is the smile line where everything here has been smiling, and we move into the non-smiling center space. We can then move up, to find that mustard sound that is so often not included in first language inventories of our learners. Okay, so they have to move into it, then they'll feel it, and they can produce it, and in time perceive it. Okay, and so this is that clean alternative to long and short. What's nice about color vowels and the way we work is that you can overlay it into a phonics program. You simply don't have to use long and short anymore. You can simply call them moving and non-moving and still use the materials for what they offer, but color vowels provide this clean overlay that's accessible, accurate, and observable. Okay. Uh, One more thing that's missing. And so, we've been through a lot. We've talked about heart words, and I think by now you know how I feel about heart words. There's a lot better we can do than that. We've talked about stress and how we can use a gesture to feel and to create the time on vowel that is the stress of English, right? We looked at families of words and how they behave, and that it's not just a matter of adding a suffix or changing the spelling slightly, but rather observing how the sound of the word changes. We then moved into long and short vowels, and now we're here. So there's one more thing that's been missing, at least in this, the scope of this presentation, because there's a lot more I could say about what's missing. But one thing I think is missing largely, is when I talk to teachers, is that there's not a lot of joy, fun, discovery, connection, true engagement. And here I'm speaking of the teacher. I'm also speaking of the learners. This kind of view, which it's a picture I picked up off the internet, but I think it's pretty fitting. There's so much out there where I see the teacher is front, in front with a chart. The students are seated, and there's just a lot of fidgeting, a lot of, sit still, face this way, raise your hand, a great effort on the teacher's part to keep everybody looking at her so she can point to the chart and put these words in there, and the students can prove that they can follow these routines. I think it's pretty hard on everybody, frankly. What we know with Color Vowel is that we're able to minimize so much of this, so much of the time spent on these programs can be reduced significantly, and learners can have it literally in their hands to start color coding using Color Vowel to colorize their words as needed. This was from a student in Costa Rica who was inspired. This was not something we mandate, but they loved Color Vowels so much they were marking up their days of the week poster, and so they created this in their notes. And this was from a fifth grade teacher, Chelsea Olson, in Michigan, and she color vowelized her students' names with their input so that she and the administrators in the hallway could read learners' names accurately. Now, this might seem like nothing if you look at something like Fatima, black cat Fatima. Okay. Or maybe we look at a name like Derek, red pepper Derek. But now come up here to this name, MY. And in a dialogue with the learner deciding what is the vowel sound in my name, the way I say it, this student's name is not my, it's green tea me. This student's name is me, and it's spelled MY. Isn't that powerful to be able to walk through the hallways and have the principal know exactly who's in that room and how they say their name? And the learners can refer to it too, of course. So we are talking about a system that is not just a matter of learning it so you can learn how to read, but you can use it right now to make human connections and to honor one another through friendship and knowing one another's names. This is from a school in Maryland, here in Maryland in Prince George's County, where this is where they have the faculty's photos so that the learners can go through the hallway and know how to say Miss Morgan's name, orange door Miss Morgan, or her assistant's name, red pepper Remington, okay, or Mr. Esso with red pepper SO. He uses the letters S and O for that, his first and last, but they call him Mr. SO. But again, we're using color vowels functionally to help provide those connections. We know how to say somebody's name. It makes life a lot easier. The other part of that piece that's missing is the fun. There's certainly a lot of fun we've already seen here, but I wanted to share with you the kinds of games that we have devised that we've found highly successful with a range of ages, levels, and language backgrounds, meaning whether they're first, second language learners or bilingual, emergent bilingual. Our game Color It Out has been an amazing elixir for the question of how words sound and how they look. Color It Out is a pronunciation reading game. Here you see holding a hand of cards and playing a card. The spoken turn that will happen right here sounds like this: a purple shirt birthday, purple shirt word, right? So we have these 6 beats. We are engaging our sound awareness and our speech and our reading in the act of an exercise we call flooding, which is where we can repeat the same vowel sound each time to reinforce what it is we're hearing while the spelling is changing. So once again, purple shirt birthday, purple shirt word. So any temptation to say word or some other pronunciation, maybe birthday, will be overridden by the color vowel markup. And we're moving from left to right in a literacy behavior. So there's so much going on here, like a big multivitamin for reading and pronunciation and listening. Okay. The next turn might be gray day, April. I've often had students decode it as April until they, okay, yes, gray day, April, gray day, say. Again, different spelling patterns in the same game, all coded by color vowels. So they're used to saying these words, creating the sound file while becoming accustomed to how it looks in print. Okay, so Color It Out has been very successful. Learners of all ages love it. We've piloted it, we've revised it. It works, and it can be played in groups. It can be played alone, as my 6-year-old friend over here was doing, playing it domino style. Always playing with a spoken turn so that they can hear how the sounds are the same in the pronunciation while the letters are different in terms of the vowel spelling patterns. Okay, and that peak of meaning. Lots of ways you can use this game. You can bridge into vocabulary and comprehension by creating sentences. There are lots of great options there. So the question that often comes up as we wrap things up right now is color vowel aligned to the science of reading? And I'm going to say it not only aligns to the science of reading, it bridges this very important gap, this critical gap in science of reading training and curricula. I would say that it's so deeply in there. It's hard to, if somebody says, show me the study of color vowel, it's like, it is the science of reading. It is a way of bringing to light what is going on when we speak and when we read. And so we have plenty of research that backs what we do, because it is the very research that is the science of reading. We've merely learned how to bring it to light through the chart that is the color vowel chart and the iconic images that allow us to name and identify each vowel sound separately. Okay, and primarily, right, so that we can start with these sounds, teach or expose learners to the spelling patterns that represent those sounds over time. And that way we're teaching from the sound up instead of the letter up. Okay. All right. Thank you for being with me. We are leading into our Science of Reading workshop. This is on Thursday, April 10th. And you can sign up still if you happen to come across this video. You can use QR code or whatever you wish. We will start with very brief introductions, VBIs. I've never called it that before, but we'll quickly move into effective strategies for noticing word stress beyond the open hand, beyond the arm strategy I mentioned. What color is will be our next activity. You'll love it. It's better than a spelling bee. Word wall makeover. This, I think, will be the biggest takeaway that teachers enjoy in a way, because I think a lot of teachers already make word walls, and now they'll have a functionality to their word wall. Game-changing word games beyond Color It Out, which I just briefly showed you. And then we'll finish up with questions, conclusions, and next steps. Our next steps will be exciting. I do believe we're forming a community of practice so that we can support the teachers out there who are working hard at implementing the science of reading and are interested in the strategies that really bring it home. That would be color vowel. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Please keep in touch and visit us at colorvowel.com and tell a friend. Thanks.